What's up, guys? I tried to record this video earlier, but my camera fell again. I don't know, today's just a very clumsy day. What I want to do with this video is kind of counteract a scare that's happening all across social networks, internet, and smartphones, whatever. And I'm trying to be a little bit positive about it because some people just don't know. You know, not everyone was born with all the knowledge in the world, and that could be. This fan's bugging me. Hold on. Okay. I had to turn the fan off. It was bugging me. It was like clicking. Okay, anyways, so I just watched the video that my sister shared on Facebook. And this guy was, he was going through his girlfriend's smartphone. And he clicked the application and went through the app infos and was showing people like, your data is not private, it could be accessed, and etc. Now, I want to kind of pull the veil off real quick, just because this even really shouldn't have even been a veil that covered people's eyes. I think everyone should have been pretty informed about this, and that's anything that has to do with the internet. Computers, laptops, smartphones, tablets, etc. Anything that's put on the internet is not private. It does, like when you go to your Facebook on your computer, it does give you the choice of setting privacy as far as what your friends list could see and what other people on the social network can see. But if you're worried about the government seeing the phone calls you're making, the pictures you're sending, the messages you're writing in messaging, you are seriously mistaken if you can stop the government from looking at that. One of the things that people were freaking out on was like, the camera on your phone could take a picture at any given moment without your permission. It could record audio without your permission. It could access your call logs, your data logs, things, whatever. And really, how to put it? There's always a plus and a down to it. A lot of people freak out because they're like, well, I want my life private. And we'll get into that later. The plus side to it is that it's being used as a tool to capture people that are dangerous in this world. Give you guys an example. A couple of guys robbed, there was a bank or a store in Marshall, Texas. And how the sheriffs and the police force in Marshall caught these guys was because one of them, who fled to Atlanta, Georgia, posted on his Facebook what he did, and they got a hold of it, and they were able to get him and get all the people involved. So that was actually good right there, and it benefited because these guys were taken off the street, and they're not out there robbing banks or robbing stores, so safer. The whole idea of people freaking out about it just boggles me beyond anything, because since way back in the day when I was a kid, when the internet first started popping, it was always told that what you put on the internet is not private. Even when, back in the day when we was running AOL, there in the disclaimers and the fine print told you. People don't read the fine print. We're a nation of people who just want to click and accept, download, bam. One of the things that can actually tell you exactly what you're getting is, let me go to my Play Store here. And I'm going to go to applications, and let me see, I'll pick a certain app, and then we'll just go from there. Oh, well, let's see. The first one is Facebook Messenger on my list. Let's see if I can turn on the brightness. Okay, that's as low as it's going to go. And, okay, so on my list, well, okay, so I clicked Instagram. Let's just go with Instagram. So if I click install Instagram, it has what's this little thing that pops up, and right next to the icon it reads out needs to access. So on the list of needs to access, it has identity. If I click that, it says uses one or more of accounts on the device profile data, contacts, and calendar. Click that, it says uses one or more of calendar, contact, or information. Location, uses the device's location. Photos, medias, and files. Uses one or more of files on the device, such as images, videos, audio. The device's external storage. Camera and microphone uses one or more of cameras and microphone. So it kind of gives you a little synopsis right there. If you go to your settings and you go to applications and then you choose the application and you scroll down, it gives you all the permissions that it is accessing by you having that app on your device. And you can easily see there's a bunch of applications that have the same permissions as Facebook Messenger. It's not just Facebook Messenger by itself. And I guess what I'm trying to do here is, like I said, I'm trying to educate people and just kind of counteract this scare. This scare is, to me, it's pretty idiotic. When you think that, your messaging app or whatever you're using is so totally private, it is not. One of the things that has, been like a common misconception for like laptops and computers is when people download firewalls and they're like, okay, well, I can upload this picture to Facebook and I'll be safe. Not true. Firewalls and things of that nature and antivirus and malware protection and all that stuff is basically to protect your hardware from anything on the internet that could cause damage. The firewall is to stop hackers from getting in and stealing files off your computer, pictures, audios, videos, etc. That's what the firewall is. It does not protect what you send out into the internet. It does not. And that's the misconception. And even the fact of you putting a photo on the internet is, really, there's really a misconception right there, because people think I put that video out or that picture out there, it's totally private, no one can get it. Not true. Anything you put on the internet can be seen no matter what. We have a world of super genius hackers out there who have done some crazy things over a decade. And so, that tells you, if we have people like that out there, and these are just people that are sitting at home coming up with different viruses just because they feel like, screwing up people's computers. I remember there was an epidemic where people were just sending out viruses to pretty much crash motherboards. And everyone was freaking out, like, don't open this email, or don't do this, don't do that, you get this virus or whatever. And that's the whole point I'm saying behind it, is like, everyone's getting so shocked about these permissions that they found on Facebook Messenger. And then they go off to different applications and then they're like, oh, I'm going to install it and I'm going to make a video and tell the whole world about it. Well, it's like, everyone's had access to this information for a long time. If you really wanted to know, just look at the permissions of the application. It'll tell you what it can do. And on top of that, if you're a person that needs to hide your entire life, don't get a smartphone. Don't get anything that gives you access to the internet. The internet highway, there is no privacy whatsoever. And especially social networks. People who believe social networks is so private, it is not. It is not. And that's one of the things that my father's told me, was that anything you put out there, people can see. And it's so totally true. But you also got to remember, you're like 1 in a billion. The government is not pinpointing you. They're not going to sit there and turn your camera on to see what you're doing every second of the day, whether you're chopping onions in the kitchen or you're watching Kitchen Nightmares. They're not going to be doing that. They have other things that are on top priority for them. And unless you are planning a strike on any country, or if you're planning to do anything that is really, really messed up and bad, then they'll be watching. But these tools are set in place just to basically, it does help. Like I said, I gave you that story about what happened in Marshall, Texas. It does help there. And, it's a touchy subject, but predators out there on the internet, how do you expect anyone to catch them? They gotta have access to everything. So, there's always a good and a bad to it, and you have the choice whether you use these applications or not. But don't be naive and think that, if you download any social network app or anything like that, it's just going to be totally private, no one can get a hold of your stuff. No. And of course they do have to disclose this stuff, because if anything does happen, they don't want to get sued. They don't want you being like, well, somebody got pictures of me and blah, 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 blah through your application, through your social network and everything, so I'm going to sue you. Because now they have a disclaimer. And even in the permissions, that's technically a disclaimer that tells you that anything you put up over there, any data on your phone or whatever, can be read by the application. And if any other malicious software or anything is on your smartphone or whatever device you're using could gain information through that application, they're just protecting themselves, and they're just basically telling you. So read. That would be the best thing. whatever you're going to get, read it so you guys know what you're getting into. So hopefully this kind of helps set at ease all this big rush about Facebook Messenger and everything. And yeah, thanks for watching. And just like I said, guys, just remember, nothing's private on the internet. And whatever application you're downloading, um, check what it's going to access, and check its permissions, and you decide from there. But don't freak out. The government is not looking just to get you, okay? So it's not a whole big conspiracy, and yeah, just don't freak out, people.